Welcome back to the Karma Demystified series. Hope I am audible. If you are not speaking, please mute yourself so that it won't disturb others. So we are going to continue to the fourth session today. We will have a quick recap because it is very systematically we are unfolding step by step. So you might have seen we started with the Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, then switched into 4, 5, now going to 18, coming back. So we are trying to pick and choose relevant shlokas or relevant points from different parts of the Bhagavad Gita and also from other scriptures as well. So with that, let's get started. I will cover the first part and then I will pass to Avanti so that she can give the entire perspective from her angle also. So it's always good to see or listen to two different perspectives. Obviously, it's the same direction, but two different style of presentations. So with that, let's get started. So let's start with what we have learned so far. In our first session, we started by defining what is karma. The first definition we have seen is whatever action you do, it need not be a physical action. It could be a feeling, it could be a thought, or it could be something that you speak, or it could be something that you do. Any kriya you perform. And it could be manasam, vachikam, and it could be kayikam. That is the first definition of karma. So any kriya is karma. We have also seen that karma also means that it is the unseen impression you get as a result of your kriya. This particular portion we are going to see from next week. Today we are going to get introduced to that. But next week onwards, we are going to dive into that dimension of karma. So whatever we have covered in the first 4 sessions, it is entirely based upon the karma as a kriya. And also we briefly touched upon the cycle of karma. You will have an intention that will form into an action, and that action will form an impression, and that impression will again create new intention. We haven't deep dived into that particular topic, so we are going to do that from next week onwards. And basically we said the impression will take the habits and personality for future experiences. This is the first session we covered. And then what we have seen is when you define the karma as a kriya, what are all the classifications of karma? So if you think about karma as kriya, how you can classify that karma into different dicing and slicing. So let's be very specific and move into the next topic. So we have seen that the karma is classified based on 4 different dimensions. The first one is karma based on purpose. What exactly is the purpose? Is that a daily duty, or is a naimitya karma, or kamya karma, nishiddha karma, or prayaschitta karma? This was the first categorization we have seen. And any one of them could be based on dharma. It can be niyatam or aniniyatam. Niyatam means it is based on swadharma. It is, when I need to be very specific, swadharma. Swadharma means my duty, like my obligatory duties and optional duties. Right? That is based on the dharma. And the third one is based on attitude of the mind. When the mind of the performer is in a particular temperament, the karma also varies. That is what we deep dived in our previous class. It is swatikam karma, rajasikam karma, and tamasiya karma. We gave real world example identifying from each categories of karma, the mood, and we saw that this is not static. My mind can evolve, and also nobody is pure sattva, nobody is pure tamas. It's a mixture. What is that predominant temperament or the guna? That is how the actions will be dominated. So this is not very black and white. It is always mixture. And then finally, based on orientation, it can be categorized as Vaidikam karma, Laukikam karma, whether it is a religious duty or it is a worldly duty. The definition also we have seen. One is Veda Vihitam. The other one is called Loka Siddham. This is exactly how the Vedas define. One is Veda Vihidam, that is prescribed by the Veda as a religious activity. That is the Vaidika karma. And Laukika karma is Loka Siddham, whatever you do in the world, material world. So these were the four classification we have seen. And then we saw Swatika, Rajasika, Tamasika karma. We had a detailed explanation of that. Vaidika, Laukika karma. We talked about that. And then we spent some time on how these things fit together. That is very interesting observation. So you start with a purpose. Why am I doing that? Is that my daily duty? Is that my duty because of the occasion? So that is the karma based on purpose. And then the orientation, is that worldly, am I going to for Loka Siddham or Veda Vihidam? Then based on dharma, is this my obligatory duty or optional? And finally, the attitude. What mindset I am doing it. Hope this much is crystal clear, right? This is like we try to analyze this very logically, very sequentially, and it flows nicely. So you define karma as kriya, and we identified 4 different types of karma. And now we are getting into today's topic. So today's topic is like whatever is the karma, whether it is Laukikam karma or Vaidikam karma, Nitya karma or Naimitya karma, whatever is the karma, what exactly shapes the result of your action? Is it just your effort? That is what we are going to see today. So we understood what karma is and how the actions are classified. But the big question is, why do the same action produces 2 different results for 2 people? That's a big question. So what are the factors that constitute the success or the execution of a kriya? That is what we wanted to see. So this is what we are going to see today. Today we are going to deep dive into that topic. What exactly constitute the karma? Like the success factors that constitute the karma. This is such an important topic. To my knowledge, I was so surprised to see how detailed that analysis is done by the Bhagavad Gita. So this comes in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. You have to wait till 18th chapter. So 18th chapter, you see this in the 13th and the 14th shloka of the Bhagavad Gita. So that's where the source. That is what we are going to cover today. So let's jump into that topic. So this is the exact shloka 18-14. Karananicha pritak vidam. So this is basically, it tells the success of a karma or the execution of a karma is dependent upon 5 factors. In other words, there are 5 factors affects the result of an action. That is what we are going to see. What exactly they are? It says Adhiṣṭhānam, Kartā, then Karaṇa, Ceṣṭāḥ, and Daivam. These are the 5 factors defined by Bhagavan Krishna. Basically, it means the doer, the tools or the instruments, the environment or your base into which, meaning from which you are executing that action. Then the actual effort you put, you might be the best performer, but if you don't do anything, that will be very mediocre result. And finally, there is some unknown factor, X factor. So these are the 5 factors that affects any action. The quality of an action is dependent upon these 5 factors. This is very scientific, very much psychological. So let's deep dive into each one of this and try to understand. And that is what we are going to do. And look at that last factor, which is called Daivam here. It's typically the word Daivam means God. Here, Daivam is not God. This is the problem with the Sanskrit. If you don't know the Sanskrit, if you just look at a dictionary, you will take this as God. Daivam means here it's unknown factors. There is an X factor between you and the karma. Correct? There is always an X factor. What you call as luck or bad luck in English, you can call it as Daivam. You may do everything, but sometimes what happens, there will be a push from the nature to take you to the destination. Sometimes you do a lot of work, but there is a pull from the nature which take you back. You may put a lot of effort, but you may not see that result. So there is always an X factor between you and the result. Now you wonder, right? You always say, I did my best. That is only like there are two factors. There are three more other factors you need to consider. You need to consider your Karaṇa, you need to consider your Adhiṣṭhāna, and you need to consider the Daivam. All that can affect the results. If you understand this, it's such a life-saving, I would say, you feel very good sometimes. That's why this topic is very important. And when you look at that fifth factor, Daivam, or the unknown force, or that X factor, that is what we are going to deep dive from next week onwards. You see the sequence, right? So we defined karma. We understood the different varieties of karma. We understood from that different varieties of karma, we understood what are all the factors that is contributing to the success of the karma. And then we are going to going to that karma, the result aspect. So first we were exploring the whole karma series based on the kriya. And from next week, we are going to explore that karma based upon that adrishta, or the results of the unseen result. So this sequence, you need to keep this in mind, and this framework you need to keep in mind. And once you do that, after the 12 lessons, you won't be confused about the law of karma. Everybody talks about the law of karma, but most of the times, most of the people don't understand the depth and the breadth of the karma. And that is why we call this series as Karma Demystified. We are trying to understand it very logically. So with that, let's move on to the next topic. So the 5 factors at a glance. Let's start with that. There are 5 factors. The first one is known as Kartā. Kartā means the individual who performs the action. So that is a simple definition. We are going to deep dive into that, but first let's understand the simple definition. What is Kartā? And the second one is called Karaṇam. Karaṇa means instruments. It could be your own sense organs, and it could be like external instruments. So Karaṇa includes Karaṇa plus Upakarana. I'm going to talk about that in the next slide. So first one is the doer, second one is the instruments of action, and the third one is Adhiṣṭhānam. Adhiṣṭhāna means foundation, environment, conditions. Simple example, suppose you want to do a business, you need to have a shop, meaning not online business, but you have to have a shop. Without that shop, you cannot execute that business, correct? If you want to play cricket, you need to have a playground. That is what is the Adhiṣṭhāna, the framework in which you are executing that action. It's not the infrastructure alone. Infrastructure will come under the Karma also, but it is that Adhiṣṭhānam base on which you are executing this action. That is Adhiṣṭhānam. So Kartā, Karana, Adhiṣṭhānam, Ceṣṭāḥ, that you put. And finally, Daivam, which is the unknown factors. Is there anything in this 5 which is not relatable? You can unmute and speak if you want. 5 factors we talked about this. Is there anything in this 5 that doesn't sound logical, that doesn't sound modern, and that you don't feel cannot be connected?
Namaste, Rajesh.
Yes, please.
I thought the unknown factor itself is the karma.
That is correct. That is a karma. We are going to so this karma has 2 definitions. One is what? The execution of the action, the kriya, and the second one is the unknown impression that comes to you. So that is the second dimension of the karma is covered by Daivam. So that is why a different terminology is used.
So that's the Adhiṣṭhāphala?
That is not just the Adhiṣṭhāphala. Let's be very specific. Adhiṣṭhāphala will translate into what you call Sanchita karma, Agami karma, all those karma. We are going to talk about that particular part in the upcoming week. So just to give you a little bit sneak preview, every action will produce 2 types of results. One is called Drishtaphala and the other one is called Adhiṣṭhāphala. Suppose I give you $1,000. I become less, my bank account will lose $1,000. You will be richer by $1,000. That is the Drishtaphala. Adhiṣṭhāphala is what? If I am doing it to genuinely to help you, I will get some Adhiṣṭhāphala. And this Adhiṣṭhāphala is called karmic credit or debit. It can be called punya or it can be called papa. And this will be put into a karmic store, right? So whatever I accumulate in this karma, in this life, is known as kriyamana karma. And whatever I had carry forward from the past, it is known as, anybody? Sanchita karma, right? And then this karma, at the end of this life, the kriyamana karma is added to the sanchita karma, and then from that pool, another set of karma will be determined by next birth. This is how the karma is connected with reincarnation. So Daivam here means, it is if you exactly define, Daivam means how that prarabdha karma manifests in my life. It is from my past karma. It comes to me as favorable and unfavorable condition, or sometimes as luck and sometimes as bad luck. And that is what factor is called Daivam. So definitely the Daivam is from the karma pool, but it is a particular pool that is assigned to this life, to be very specific. We are going to talk about this in detail, so don't worry about that. So with that, let's go to each topic. So the first factor is Kartā. Kartā means the executor or the performer of every action. The individual who initiate and choose the action. It includes the intention, it includes the mindset, it includes the decision-making power. Your value, the clarity, maturity shapes all the doer's mental condition, the clarity, the doer's maturity, everything is going to affect the clarity of action or the quality of action. The inner doer matters more than the outer action, because if you have clarity, if you know exactly what you are doing, and if you are executing with a proper mindset, with proper skill, that action will be very good. So the doer is the first factor, and I don't have to explain the doer factor, each one of you are aware of that. See, this is where the quality of the mind we talked in the last class comes to the picture. Let's say that you are stressed out and doing something. That action may not be as productive, as creative as the sattvic action. What is the sattvic action? The mind is not stressed. The mind has clarity, meaning the mind is not overstressed. I have to use that word because little bit of stress is good to push you, but beyond a break-even point, what is called, the stress will deteriorate the performance. I talked about the book Flow. You all can read that book. The book title itself is called The Science of Optimal Performance. Right? Sometimes you yourself, you do something, you forget about everything, and that time you get the best results. Bad result is not, that type of karma is very different from, oh my God, I'm very stressed. Still I may do it, I may succeed, but that's very different. And that is totally different from what is called the tamasic karma. I have no clarity. So I take shortcut, I don't follow dharma, I am lazy, all that will come into the picture. So the doer is such an important factor in the whole framework of karma. If you think about the karma's architecture, the first foundation or the first major pillar is the doer. Right? If that doer's intention is not correct, or if the doer does not have clarity, or the doer do not have the enough skills, that all affect the action. Any doubt? I don't have to explain. This is pretty much evident to you. But the problem is, most of the times we think like, I am the doer, I do my best. Still the action fails. I don't realize that the result is not just dependent upon the doer. There are other 4 factors that is completely overlooked and not thought through. And that is where another failure comes in. So this is very important. So this is the first point. Let's continue. The second point is Karaṇam. So the traditional definition of Karaṇa means instrument. Bahya Karaṇa and Anta Karaṇa. What is the Bahya Karaṇa? Your 5 organs of perception and your 5 organs of action. You have good mindset, you are very good, you have intent is there to do. But if your eye is not working, it will affect the quality of your action. If you do not have hands, it will put some constraints. Now, Upakarana, the definition is that which enhances the power of a Karana is Upakarana. Telescope, microscope. What exactly the telescope does? It enhances the power of my eyes. I cannot see the stars with my naked eyes, but if I use a telescope, I can see that. So it enhances the power of my Karanas. And it not only the Bahya Karana, there are tools which enhances the power of your Antakarana also. Software, computer, right? So the analytical tools. I don't know how many of you played with Gemini 3 or GPT 5.1. The mindset of a PhD holder. It's there available to you as a servant. That is Upakarana. So these are tools like resources which for performing the karma. So it includes your body, senses and mind. It includes the modern tools like technology, all that. So this is what it is. So a surgeon needs skill plus instruments. If the surgeon do not have any surgical instrument, he might be the best surgeon in the world. He may come some workaround, but having the right tools in your hand, it makes a lot of difference. This is the Karana. So let's go to the next one. Adhiṣṭhānam. Adhiṣṭhāna is very simple to understand. It is the environment, conditions, external circumstances, the field. Think about a cricket player or a baseball player. Without a court or without a cricket field, how can he play? Right? So there has to be a player, there has to be tools, bat and a ball and everything, and there has to be a field. So let's say that if you want to fulfill the household duties, you need to have an Adhiṣṭhānam. If you want to take care of your family, the Adhiṣṭhānam is the house. So the Adhiṣṭhānam, think about that from a worldly perspective. There are several Adhiṣṭhānam. If you want to do a Vaidya karma, the Adhiṣṭhānam, you have to have a place to conduct the homa or ritual or whatever it is, right? And you have to have the tools, whatever the spoons which you use to pour these oil into the fire. I'm just saying that Vaidya karma also needs to have this. Laukika karma also needs to have it. So Adhiṣṭhāna. So this is, without Adhiṣṭhāna, it is very difficult. I wanted to do shop to sell something, not online, but even the online shopping. Amazon needs huge warehouses. Without that warehouses, what are they going to do? So this is what is Adhiṣṭhāna. So think through those three factors alone. Even if the doer has all the good intent, the skills, everything, but without the proper tools or without the actual environment or the base or the field, he cannot perform. This is what it is. So next, Ceṣṭāḥ means it is the effort you invest in your karma. So the intensity, purity and the hard work you put. You might be the best performer in the world, but if you don't put consistent effort, the results will be affected. You have to put hard work. That is what is. Even small action. If you need consistently, if you put work, you will get results. But Ceṣṭāḥ is one dimension, but that's an important dimension. Two students studying under one teacher. One practices daily, the other don't practice. Just take the book before the exam. The first student remembers the subject even after years. The second student, what happens? After the exam, he will forget. What is the difference? Ceṣṭāḥ. That's it. So that is very important factor. Your hard work. Finally, Daivam means the factors beyond my control. Right? Timing, like luck, what you call, sometimes luck. Sometimes collective forces. You may not do anything, but suddenly some war happens in somewhere. The whole stock market crashes. How the Daivam works is only God knows. Just a news in the market that can crash your 401k savings. You know that. I don't have to explain. So that is what is unknown factors, karma. So you control the action, but not the outcome. You can do all the research in the world to identify the best stock, and you can choose to invest money, but how the market performs, it's not just in your hand. So the whole idea is understand that you have some control in the results, but you do not have the complete control in the results. This is the basis for Karma Yoga. So the famous shloka of the second chapter, shloka 47. What is Krishna tell? Karmani evaha adhikaraha tui ma phaleshu kadajana. What does that mean literally? A lot of people say that you have the right only in the work, not in the results. This was misinterpreted, and even people started criticizing Gita. This is written by people to exploit people, like you make them work, and because they have only right to work, not the salary. That's not the meaning is. The word adhikara, this is all Sanskrit, not properly understanding. The word adhikara means choice or control. That's another meaning. That is the word fits here. So Krishna telling is that you have control on how to do things. You have control on to pick what is the right stock. You have the control on to pick and choose, do all the technical analysis of a stock. You have control on how much money you want to invest. That part you have complete control. Na phaleshu katajana. Not entirely on the outcome. You do the best technical analysis. You do all the quantitative analysis. You did all the everything and put a lot of money into the stock. Next day, what happens? One war came in one area. Or some vaporware news comes in. I don't know whether you followed. The other day, Google just announced a new chip. The Nvidia stock just went down. Last January, February, a new AI model came from China, DeepSeek. They said, we created this with $4 million. What happened? The whole tech stock market crashed. Was it real? Later we found that that's completely wrong. But even as news, imagine the people who invested money at that time. So you don't have that control. So the choice is, or the control is in the action, not in that results. And that unknown factor, that X factor, that hidden variable, right? So suppose you have an equation, and if there are some hidden variable, you can control those variables which is in your hand. That hidden variable or the X factor, you do not have control. And that is what is called Daivam. And recognizing this Daivam is going to bring a lot of humility and reduce a lot of stress and anxiety. You prepare well for an interview. It could completely, the company freezes the hiring. Somebody was just telling me that story yesterday. That's why I just put that in. Somebody cleared all the levels of interview and was just waiting for an offer letter. Suddenly the company freezes the hiring. This is Daivam. I just met somebody in a conference, and next day I got a big business opportunity. That is also Daivam. This is Daivam. Good old example. In India, like students, like you go to a place by taking a bus. So I go to the bus stop hoping that the bus will come. I will go to the destination. If the bus comes at the right time and if I reach the destination, that is like it everything happened exactly as I was expecting. But I went to the bus station, the bus stop. Suddenly a friend came in his car. I got a ride. That is better than what I thought. And the bus cancelled. It's much below what I expected. And sometimes what happens? I took the bus and the bus had an accident. I ended up in an hospital. All these things can happen. This play of this unknown factor is called Daivam. What Krishna is continuously telling in Bhagavad Gita from chapter 2 to chapter 18 is control the controllable and accept the uncontrollable with wisdom. This is very important. This is the consistent message in the Bhagavad Gita. And you see this in the serenity prayer also, right? The serenity prayer also talks about the same thing. Like, God, give me the strength to change what I can change, right? And give me the, meaning I should have the courage to face what I cannot change or accept what I cannot change. And what is the wisdom? To know what I can change and what I cannot change. Usually I try to change what I cannot change. And I don't do anything where I have some control. This is wisdom. Okay, that's the next one. Is success of a karma is the alignment of all these five. No action succeed to one factor alone. The harmony of these five factors constitute the success. So understand these five factors, try to align, accept what is not in your control. So Kartā, like all these five factors. So in the interest of time, let me just continue to the next few slides. So every action works only when all the five factors align, like in even one, or the problem of even one low quality action, it will block the results. Example, a low quality action or low quality Adhiṣṭhānam, it will be impacting the result. And this explains why intention alone is not good enough. And this five factors shows where to strengthen for tool or the environment, whatever it is. This is very important. So a brilliant student, good Kartā, using poor tools, Karaṇam, like not proper tool, studying in a noisy room, bad Adhiṣṭhāna, limited effort, Ceṣṭāḥ, and exam day illness, Daivam. This is one simple story of the five factors with day-to-day life. Okay. Why this model is so insightful even today? So the ancient wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita, it is all the modern system of thinking, it seems. So the modern management model, people, process, tools, environment, external risk, right? People, process, technology or the tools, environment, external risk. The foundation of program management or project management. You all are professional, I don't have to explain. You hear this every day. That's exactly what in the ancient language. So this is very important to understand that this is not just ancient. So behavioral science, like the environment shape behavior more than intention. That is what the behavioral science tells. And the project management tells the failure is rarely due to one factor. This is a basic lesson of project management. So the Daivam, you need to pay special attention because it is not fate. It refers to the unknown influence or the past karma, explains sudden help, sudden obstacles, sudden turning points. This is how it is explained. This is part of the life beyond the strategic planning. You cannot plan for it, but you can get some pattern. That's all. Keeps us humble and reduces guilt or reduces blame. And we manage the four and the God will manage the fifth one. That's another reason why it is called Daivam. Okay. We learned today is Gita's definition of five forms of action. Kartā, Adhiṣṭhānam, Ceṣṭāḥ, and Daivam. This is what we learned. And with that, let me hand over to Avanti for her comment.
Namaskar. My mind is reeling. I don't know about y'all, but truly we needed these series because I keep on saying the statement, Gahana Karmano Gatihi. What Krishna himself has said, it is impossible to understand karma. Rajesh ji has done such a brilliant job with even last week and this week that we've understood properly with tables, with diagrams, exactly what the definitions are. Because when we think of karma, there's two ways that we look at it. One thing is that something good happens, oh, it's my karma. Something bad happens, oh, it's his karma. And the other way that we look at this, when we get onto the spiritual path, that is actually a dangerous way of looking at it, at karma. We get onto the spiritual path, we see a few outline instructions. Do good, good will happen. And then we get on to this whole wheel of doing good karma with the intention of getting good. You understand? And yet, what we've studied today, even that is not decided just by yourself. There's so many other things in that. So when we look at karma the way we have seen it through these last 4 sessions, one after the other, you really get an understanding, a deep understanding, that we do not have any idea at this stage of what karma actually is. Now, why are we studying this? For 2 basic reasons. Most of you are already in our regular Bhagavad Gita classes, chapter 1, chapter 2. I'm seeing I went 2-3 times up and down, scrolling who all are present here. I recognize the names, although I don't see the faces. Again, please put on your videos if you can. It's nice to have a face-to-face interaction, but I have to give up on that hope of mine. It's karma that the videos are not coming up. I'll just give it to that. But so to connect you all back to where we left off in chapter 2, the entire crux of the Bhagavad Gita, you cannot forget this, is to make sure that we execute whatever we have to do in this world phenomenally well so that we transcend it. Now, even if we get into this Chakravyuh, let me do good karma so I will get good karma. I should not do bad karma. Whatever you say I have to do, I don't have to do, is going to bring you back to this same karma bhumi, to either enjoy the fruits of your good actions or to suffer the consequences of your bad action. Bhagavad Gita, thankfully, does not go into the absolute details of where you go after your death to enjoy and to suffer and to come back and all of that. There are great explanations for that. Bhagavad Gita, you have to see the context. It's given on the battlefield. You have to fight this battle. That particular battle, Arjuna's Mahabharata, was in that moment his entire life. That would wipe off what the karmas were of the past, and that would go forward to tell what was going to happen in the future. So that battlefield is his entire karmic field. And so it is for us. Now, when we look at Arjuna's whole life, we look at the Gita, please try and condense all these teachings to where am I sitting? What is my Adhiṣṭhānam right now? What is my field of action right now? And in that, try and put all these teachings that we are learning together. Okay. Now, whenever I've taught this verse, these few verses from 13 to about 18 in the past, I've had to sit with multiple commentaries to try and get it right. Because actually, if you go, I'll just, as a teaser, I'll send some on the Q&A, group to just see how each one interprets even these 5 different factors involved. It's fascinating to see. But now let's just bring it down to a very basic understanding of what, at least from the Swami Chinmayananda tradition and whatever I understand of Shankara's tradition, let's break it down to very simple things, what most commentators say, okay? 5 factors, Adhiṣṭhānam. Swami Chinmayananda would say it's the body. Because right now, the body is our field of action, correct? Please do not get confused, okay? We have the video right now, so we have all the things on slide. We have to look at it again and again. I'm just giving you a different perspective. The same perspective in different words. So whatever we do, whether we are doing it from the body, whether we are doing it from the mind, whether we are doing it from the intellect, all of it is coming out, emanating from where? From the body, okay? So let's put Adhiṣṭhānam as this is our main field. Yes, our actual field will change from here to there, but our main field remains the body, okay? Next is Kartā. This ego, this individuality that has mistaken itself to be this body, to be this mind, to be this intellect. This individuality within us, which thinks, this is my body, this is my environment, these are my people, this is what I have to do. There goes your Kartā. That ego self within you, they call it pseudo-soul, pseudo-ego, whatever else. Look at the commentaries, they're fascinating. And you must look at all the commentaries to form your main understanding. See, Bhagavad Gita, let me assure you from my experience, I've been with this book for the past 20 years in a very practical way. Bhagavad Gita will speak to you very differently as it speaks to me. And why is that a necessity? Because your life is very different than mine. Your exam paper is very different than what my exam paper is to write. So research, look, think, and apply it. Constantly apply it to what is happening in your life. Only then the meaning of Bhagavad Gita will unfold for you. Only when the verses start helping you in your life. So that ego self, I am doing everything. This is my life. That becomes the Karta. Then the Karaṇam, the instruments. I just absolutely loved what Rajesh brought in today, was that the actual instruments that we have for our, like if we want to do something, if we have the right technology, if we have the right means to do it, of course, yes. But basically, it is 12. Okay. 5 organs of actions, 5 organs of perceptions, the mind and the intellect. Just to bring it to Arjuna's context. Okay. These are the things, 12. You have these instruments. Next comes the Ceṣṭāḥ. Ceṣṭāḥ actually, I don't know in other languages, I have to research, but in Marathi, it literally means your ada, if you understand in Hindi, your ada. What do you bring to whatever you're doing? What is that, effort you bring? What is that flavor you bring? What is that nuance you bring? What is it that you bring to this action? Your Ceṣṭāḥ. And finally, Daivam, which is so badly, as Rajesh absolutely rightly said, is so badly understood, means Deva. God willed it. That, Bhagwan ki marzi, Ishwar ki marzi. Immediately we put it on that. It cannot be that. I'll tell you why it cannot be Deva. Any guesses why it cannot be God? We've said this before, and we've just left all those verses.
Aham Brahmasmi, because like each of us, I mean, what are we talking about? God, right? Like each of us are the supreme self in that sense. So like what external God are we talking about?
Correct. Beautifully caught. There is no external God. We are trying to understand that. Constantly it is Tattvamasi and Aham Brahmasmi. But main thing is, if you just think back, I need especially the class members to just sink into their minds right now. Rewind to what verses we've left, where Krishna has consistently 11 to 25 tried with all his heart to explain to Arjuna, he is not the body, he is not the mind, he is not the senses, he is not any of it. He is the eternal Atma within. And we will study now in great detail how Atma doesn't care. Atma absolutely does not care if you succeed or if you fail. It is just an enlivening factor. So where does Deva come in over here to decide whether you're going to succeed or you're going to fail? The most important crux or the most important missing piece of this puzzle is God is just the enlivener of what is happening. So beautifully Rajesh ji went in to explain the depth, and you all must return to that slide of what Daivam is. It is all the unknown factors, and I love the word he coined, X factor. What is an X factor? Even when somebody is really appealing to you and you're not able to say, okay, maybe she's good looking. Yeah, she's intelligent. Yeah, this, that. She's just got some X factor. We don't know what it is. We can't put our finger on what that is. So that is Daiva. Now let's condense all of this and bring it down to Arjuna's context. Okay, why are we studying this? To understand why are we studying these things, first of all, is to create that elbow room that we have been talking about between us and between this shackles that we have around us. I am the doer. This is affecting me. I am feeling bad. I am feeling sad. How dare he? How dare she? This is what is holding us back. So all this study, the entire Bhagavad Gita, is just to make us understand, oh my God, I am not the Adhiṣṭhānam. I am not the Kartā. I am not the Karaṇam. I am not the Ceṣṭāḥ. And I am not the Daivam. I am the eternal self. This is absolute theory for us at this point to even believe that we are not all these. Difference. I am not these, but I have these. Can you see the difference? When you say I am all of this, everything that happens to it is happening to you. Suffering is the end cause, whichever way you look at it. When you say I have these, and there's a paradigm shift within yourself. What is that paradigm shift? I'm able to use my body. towards something. I am able to use my instruments towards something. I'm able to put my effort towards something. There's a natural distance. When there is a natural distance, there is a natural lessening of what comes back to you. You don't take it so personally. Okay. So now when you bring it down to Arjuna, okay, suppose if we say Arjuna's body, Adhiṣṭhānam, that is where he was stuck. I am going to kill all these human beings in front of me, my loved ones, my precious people. What does Krishna say? You're not killing them, dude. You're absolutely not killing them. The bodies will die, and the nature of the body is to die. The wise do not grieve that who are coming, who are going, who's dying, who's dead. No, the wise never grieve that. You are not the body, neither are they the body. There itself, you cancel that out. So the body is out. Then the instruments, of all the actions. Here, Arjuna, if you go back to verse 1, again and again, I say, please read chapter 1. It is so dramatically explained over there what happens to Arjuna when he cannot fight, when he drops his bow and arrow and all of that. All the instruments get into paralysis when we are, faced with something that is overwhelming in front of us. But the minute we understand, again, I am not these instruments, I have these instruments, there's a distance. How can I use these instruments? I have to face the situation in front of me. I have to fight this war in front of me. I am not the instruments. I have to use the instruments. You're about succeeding in an action, right? You will only succeed in an action when you're able to, with your calm mind, your strong intellect, do what is meant to be done in front of you. So very important to understand that. Then the next is Ceṣṭāḥ. Doer, Arjuna. Arjuna is saying, I'm the Kartā. I am going to kill. I am going to kill them. Again, Krishna there and there has vetoed that whole thing. And he says, you're not going to kill. You are not slaying them. They are not being slayed by you. It is again the body. So why are you saying I'm going to? In fact, Arjuna chapter 1, again and again, we are going to accrue the sin and we are going to be blamed for this and our things are going to be stained with blood. That Kartā of I am doing all this, so I am going to get all of this back towards me. Again, there and then Bhagavan says no. So these things, ideas, we have to I'll come to that in a bit. We have to start training our minds in this. Ceṣṭāḥ, effort. Now, this is which is so important. Effort. When we talk about Karmaṇyevādhikāraste, verse 47 in chapter 2, or the verse that I quoted two classes ago, chapter 6, verse 1. Anārshita karma phala, karyam karma karoti yaha. That one who does what they ought to do, that effort that you bring to what you ought to do. That is the thing that these verses continuously talk about. Focus on that. Focus on that. Bring your purest effort. Bring your purest intention to that. It links back very nicely with what we discussed, what Rajesh spoke so well about in the last class, the Rajasika, Tamasika, Sattvika karmas that we do. Now, if we look at that just in one line and we connect it back to Karmaṇyevādhikāraste or this Anārshita karma phalam, any of these two verses, if we connect it back to it, what is a Rajasika action? It will be, I have to do this because I want to get a particular outcome. And then it is absolutely, replete with anger, anxiety, worry, all of that comes with it, right or wrong. Suppose if you want, I'll give you a simple example. I cook every day in the house. I'm not even paying attention to most of the time. Confession here, please keep it with you. I don't pay attention to how I'm doing it. It's become so mechanical now. I cook. I just cook, but I've done it for 26 years now. It's baye hath ka khel. So it just happens every day. Oh my God, you should start a canteen in our school. The food is so amazing. The food is so yum. There's no thought because it's become mechanical. Now I have actually experimented this. You all in some way must be associated with some religious institution, or you must be associated with some, Swami or Guru or something. I don't know how many of you all have had a Swami come to your house to eat as Bhiksha. It's called Bhiksha in the Chinmay Mission tradition. The day the Swami is coming, this excellent cook who has to, who could even start canteens around Singapore, completely fumbles. Why? It has to be amazing. That has to comes in between. It has to be phenomenal. All the dishes go wrong. I am not kidding. It's happened over and over and over again until I had to train my mind to think, I am just cooking. I'm not cooking for any person. We learn this in beautiful. Please stay with us till we finish chapter 18, because the way it's explained on how you should work in this world, it shouldn't be just for a Swami or for God or for a result. The whole purpose of the Bhagavad Gita is to fill all our actions with that effort of purity, intention, and our very best. Every moment should have our very best in it, right? So this is how it comes to that effort has to be imbued with these teachings, that whatever we do our best. As soon as we do that I'm going to do it for a particular reason, elevates itself from the whole equation. That is very, very, very important. So Rajasika will always be like this. The minute you say, I want a particular outcome, there comes the worry. There are all the children. Desire has those 6 babies, right? Kama, Krodha, Moha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya. I add one more, Bhaya, fear. All these things come with that desire. You remove the desire. As soon as you remove the desire and go to verse 1 of chapter 6, I'm just doing what I need to do with my purest intention, it becomes a sattvika action. Because you're just doing what you ought to do to the best of your ability. That is sattvika. And what is tamasika? Both these verses, 47 in chapter 2 and I'll send those both verses right after this, verse 1 of chapter 6, both say the same thing. It's not the other thing that you don't act at all. So many youngsters that I teach, when they read Karmanyavadikaras, every time the question is, oh, then why act only, na? If you can't think about the result, and if you can't aim for this and you can't aim for that, why act? Very strong suggestion over there by Krishna, instruction, not even a suggestion. It does not mean that you resort to inaction. So you have to act, but that is tamasic action. That what have I decided, and why act only? Sab Bhagwan ki marzi. Anyways, I can't fix my, intention on the outcome. Leave it. Why should I do it? Same thing in chapter 6, verse 1. The last line. Niragnin chakriya. Without, I will not, it's not acting or not getting karma is not lighting the fire. Not lighting the fire as in saying, why should I even bother with any effort? Leave it. You cannot do that. You have to act, but you have to act with a sattvic temperament. One more thing that I loved of what Rajesh said in the last class was that it is a gradual lifting up of yourself. So from this constant feeling that why act only, what's the point only, anyway, everything is fated, everything is, that is why we're doing this Karma Destiny series. Why do only? Lift yourself from there, at least into Rajasika. That, okay, I have to act rather than not doing, I have to do something. From here, at least whoever are on this panel, and I wish you all stay for the rest of these series and for the rest of the classes, I assure you, taking in this knowledge over and over and over and over and over and over again, before you even realize you're that selfishness, you're that attachment to the result, you're that anxiety over what is going to happen, just by taking in this knowledge over and over and over again, will start coming down. It is a guarantee, because you'll start understanding. There is one particular slide which I'll request Rajesh for personally and send it to you in today's class, where there were these beautiful ovals, these overlapping ovals that we made in one diagram, which shows what all is involved in any action to happen. Keep that diagram in front of you. So every time you're acting, especially when you're doing something important, just look at it carefully and see how many things are in that. And that itself, just looking at that diagram, will give you that elbow room to say, okay, it dissolves you of ego, of guilt, of fear, of justification. Did I say the right thing? Did I not say the right thing? That moment, what happened, it happened. And it's dependent on all these 5 factors. The 5th factor, very well explained, Daivam. After Ceṣṭāḥ is Daivam, is there are so many unexplained things. I can't wait to go into this particular segment of these 5 things that cause action in great detail. There's so many things. When you talk about collective karma, when you talk about, it's like in a family, one person's up and down, how it affects all the members of the family. You're talking about a corporate job. One team members, going out of sync a little bit, the whole project in sync. Now my son is in the military training. Over there, they have to work in platoons of 12. All those 12, here we are only trying to align 5 things within us to get a proper action. Over here, 12 different beings have to come together as one platoon. If one falls off, that's it, it ends. So most important thing, this particular class, we wish that you look at it in 2 ways. One way is that you go back to what we've been studying, chapter 2, where Krishna has been telling us again and again and again, you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are not the intellect. Another beautiful thing that I wish you all do this week as homework. We don't give homework, but I think let's just throw it in. Please listen to, I'll send the link if you want, Nirvana Shatakam, where Shankaracharya, all these things that are over here, all these things, all the instruments of action, that ego, ahankara, body, pranas, everything, all those things he negates. I am not this, I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not this. Shivoham, 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 Shivoham. I agree, none of us are there. We will get there, but it will only come through practice. So that is one thing. So one way you can look at it, go back to the verses. We are studying the Bhagavad Gita to create that elbow room between us and our actions. So whatever we do now, we will do it right. How we use this body, how we use our instruments of action, what kind of effort do we put in, how we disengage from that doer. That's the number one, it's the substratum of the entire Gita. How I disengage from that doership, that Kartā bhav. And finally, how do I trust the divine? So if you want to go about saying, I want a successful action, look at the purification of all of these things. Another thing that I would urge you all, because you all have come to the Bhagavad Gita and you all have come to these classes, start thinking about how do I end this loop itself? Because no matter how you come back, whether you come back as a prime minister of some country next time, or whether you come back as a beggar somewhere, these 5, to keep them aligned, as all of us are seeing and will see over the Gita, is an impossible task. Which goes where? Which goes when out? We don't know. We don't know what karmas are going to ripen at what time. We don't understand that. So just try and look at it in 2 ways. If these are the 5 things, how do I work all 5 the best I can? Not how do I become them and be affected. How do I work? I have all these 5 to my disposal, except the last. And consistently thinking, I am not any of these. There is we'll get into this. I mean, I can't give the suspense right now, right? The story has to build. So in the future classes, we'll come to the how-tos. But one thing I'll end this with, when we were writing chapter 2, there was a very firm insistence from Rajesh ji. He said, let's put out Prasada Buddhi and Ishvara Arpana Buddhi right at the start. And I was very confused. I said, why should it be right at the start? He's saying, and I remember that conversation, he said, if people get this, a lot will become easy in life, in the understanding of the Bhagavad Gita also. And today, when I'm looking at the progression of these classes, when I'm looking at what we've studied till chapter 2, these 2 attitudes are the quintessential, the substratum of it all. What are these 2 attitudes? If you understand that so little and so much is in your hands as far as karma goes. First one is Ishvara Arpanam Buddhi, where all your actions are offered to the Lord. Not to the Lord, like Amisha so beautifully said, there is no Lord there, it's within us only. To the highest self within us. That cooking example. Why does it have to be different? All my cooking should be, some Swami is coming. If nobody is coming, I myself, the Swami, am sitting and eating this. My husband is a Swami, my children are a Swami. Why does it have to segregate? So everything you do, think, if you go to Sai Baba temple or you go to Tirupati temple, will you take some sada vada prasad and chadav it over there? Krishna has said, I'm teaching in some other classes, I'm teaching chapter 9. And in that, when Krishna says, he uses some very strong words. He says fool, mudha and all that, So he's saying fools think that my entire immensity can be distilled into this one form which sits on my table. And then you're doing all the good things to this form. Okay, I'm giving beautiful prasad, I'm washing, abhishekam, all that I'm doing to this. And everybody around me who Bhagwan is saying, I am in them, please see me in them. We are just kicking around. What sense? What sensibility is there in that? So that is Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, where you start training your mind to see. And second is Prasada Buddhi. Most important for this Daivam and to understand this particular slide of today, of how so little is in our hand. Prasada Buddhi means whatever comes to me, these 5 have caused it, and I accept it as prasad. There itself, the entire stress, the ego, the fear, the doership starts dissolving, and that anxiety starts dissolving. So take this back. I'll send a few notes on the Q&A chat, just few of the links, and especially Nirvana Shatakam. Think about it. In Nirvana Shatakam, all these 5 causes he will throw out of the window. And he says, I am the Atma. And this is why it connects back to chapter 2 that we have, where we've left off, where Krishna has finished saying to Arjuna, you are that Atma, you're none of these, and you're not even doing this action. Just do the action, you're not doing this action. When you connect all of this, hold on to your notes tight, hold on to the slides that are being given to you. Very important to understand the rest of the Bhagavad Gita and to navigate your own life. Thank you so much for your patience and for your listening.
Okay, thank you. So